Comcast is the nation's largest video provider, the largest internet services provider, and the third largest residential phone provider, and also now the proud new owner of NBC Universal. As many of our viewers know, Bloomberg was concerned about the merger with NBC and registered a complaint with the FCC. The FCC did address that complaint with a condition which Bloomberg is pleased about. The merger was finally approved on January 17th. Brian Roberts is the chairman and CEO of Comcast and joins us now. First of all, congratulations.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here.
Brian, you posted good subscriber numbers last quarter. Are you seeing positive trends this quarter like you did last quarter? And what's behind that growth?
Well, I think we had a big transition last year from Steve Burke running our cable company to a gentleman named Neil Smith. Neil's now been there for a year. He and the team that he has around him are extremely focused on giving a better customer service experience, new products, and really staying focused. And we do see real momentum both in our broadband business, in less video losses, and in our phone sales and our advertising business. So it's an exciting time. I think we start the new year with a sense of optimism, real focus on new products, better channels, more high definition, more on demand, and it's a good start to the year.
There's a new generation of companies, Netflix among them, that's making it easier for cord cutters to get their TV online instead of paying cable operators for it. How do you compete?
Well, I think the first thing is we've had a plan for several years that we want to give our customers access to any content they want on any device at any time. Now, that's hard to do. What I have here is the beginning of that strategy. So the iPad came out in April. We invented an idea in May. We demoed it in June, and now it's available nationally by last November. We've never worked that fast or that seamlessly. So as I show you here, you can see that the first thing you can do is you're on a world-class device. It's on Android, Apple, phones, tablets. If I click to the channel, it instantly will tell me, do you want to watch now or record that channel? If I hit watch on TV, it literally changed the television back in Philadelphia. Second thing you might want to do is say, okay, I want to get more information. I just want to watch movies. So if I click the button, the guide instantly just shows the movies. So here's an HBO show, Band of Brothers. If I click play now and I hit resume, I would be watching right now on the go. So I think we're using the latest generation, not the old cable box. It's in the cloud. It's world-class. It's fun navigation. I think it's a game changer.
All right, Brian, you recently told the Wall Street Journal, it was a great quote, you said, what used to be called reruns on television is now called Netflix. Great line. Over the last year, Wall Street's been a lover of Netflix. What are they missing when they look at that company?
Look, I think Netflix has done a great job, and I'm not here to talk about Netflix. I think what we have successfully done is create a user interface that's every bit as good. It will get better over time. We now have more content. We spend $7.5 billion a year procuring content, so we should be able to have those kind of rights, both library rights and even more importantly, live and here and now rights. And I think you're going to see a lot of innovation this year from Comcast. I wish them well, but we're off to a great start, and I think we have all the tools to be successful for our video business.
All right, well, does that mean that when you look at your reruns, your rich catalog, that you don't want to put that on Netflix, Amazon, or Walmart, or at what price would that start to make sense?
As NBC content will be on lots of platforms. That's something we're very comfortable with. It's one of the reasons we bought NBC. As the world changes and content now is more valuable. So as more people have more ways to show that content, and there's the same amount of content, it's obviously supply and demand, and the value goes up. On the other side, it's pushed our cable company, Xfinity, to reinvent ourselves, as you just saw, with all sorts of new ways to watch that content. So I think it's an exciting time. I think it bodes well for our company. I think we're uniquely positioned to be on both sides with more technology, and at the same time, more value coming to the content that our friends at NBC and Universal are making in USA Network and Bravo and all the great channels that we have in cable.
How do you fix a network like NBC when the world is innovating away from traditional network subscriber habits?
Tough job. And one of the things we've said is we put almost no value in this acquisition for the value of NBC because it is a tough job. But a couple things have gone really well in the last year, one of which is retransmission fees are being paid by distributors to broadcast networks. And folks at Fox and other networks have said they now see profitability increasing at their broadcast business in the long term, whereas before they weren't sure. Also, advertising came back last year 20% up in a time when we didn't know when we made this deal whether they were going to come back to television spots after the big disappointment of the financial crisis. And finally, we've hired a great team. Steve Burke is our CEO, but he hired a gentleman named Bob Greenblatt who worked at Showtime. Bob did things like Dexter's and Weeds and Tudors and really put Showtime original programming on the map the last 7 years. He's excited to return to broadcast television. It's a tough job. We got to be patient and realistic, but boy, NBC's had great history. They have a great franchise. We hope he can do, and others, some wonderful things in the years ahead.
NBC owns a quarter of Hulu. How does Hulu fit into your plan?
Well, one of the things we agreed to with the government is that we will not be actively involved in the governance of Hulu. So you have to ask Hulu that. But we're delighted. It's got a passionate audience, and we're certainly happy to be an owner, but we're not on the board.
Last week, President Obama appointed you to his new Jobs and Competitiveness panel. You are one of the leading CEOs in this country. But what do you say to other CEOs, like the CEO of 3M, George Buckley, who just said the president is anti-business?
Well, I don't know Mr. Buckley, so I haven't had that opportunity. But I think the president's been bipartisan and remarkably focused in the last several months on how do we get more jobs, how does American business become more competitive. I'm honored to be on the council. Jeff Immelt of General Electric is chairing it. We had our first meeting, real focused on short-term and long-term, but real emphasis on what can be done right now with the government and in the private sector working together to get a lot of people back to work. And you get into things that are in industries that don't relate to what I do, so it's educational for me, but there's a passion, a focus, and I think a commitment to try to really focus on getting more jobs in this country, and I think that's great.
So are you bullish on the economy? You know your subscribers want value, but what are the warning signs?
Well, I'll tell you, I often say actions speak louder than words. And 2010, we made the biggest acquisition in the company's history. We paid cash, and we're betting that advertising, which means businesses have to have something they want to advertise, that consumers have something they want to buy, is a bigger part of our company. We're going to invest in these new companies and new brands that NBC and Universal have. So you have to believe long term that the country's still the greatest country in the world, and we can export some of these shows and channels around the world. So I'm absolutely bullish. In the short term, you're going to have ups and downs, and that's what we got large for, so that we can withstand that. Our balance sheet has never been stronger, and I think we have a long-term strategy, and we got to believe that America is going to be competitive and our policies are going to work, and I really am optimistic.
All right, Brian, let me drill down a little bit into numbers here. The changing landscape of technological innovation means that maybe a cable subscriber is worth more than it used to be, but I wonder how you currently value a cable subscriber. Is that number $3,000 per household, $5,000 per household? Does that change because of technology, and how?
Well, I'll leave valuation to some of your viewers, but I would say this. We have grown revenue, EBITDA, free cash flow, and the number of revenue-generating units every single quarter for the last 5 years. And yet the market has highs and lows in our valuation, and so multiples have compressed greatly on any of those metrics. And I think what we got to do is just go out and continue to execute, stay focused, but our revenue per customer went up to about $130 last year. Our margins ticked up slightly. Our absolute revenue was up, and our EBITDA had the best. It accelerated growth throughout the year, and the fourth quarter was the best quarter of the year. So I think we have momentum going into 2011, and we just got to stay focused. In the acquisition, we were lucky that interest rates, we borrowed $14 billion between signing and closing to do the deal, and we averaged 4.5% with a 14-year life on that money. That's pretty attractive capital, in my opinion. So a lot of things are going well. We got to stay focused and execute, and that's what Neil Schmidt and Steve Burke are all about.
Back to NBC Universal. Are there assets you would consider selling off? Theme parks, for instance? Sometimes you'd rather be lucky than smart. Between signing and closing, Harry Potter opened at Universal
Orlando, and the attendance has gone up and skyrocketed, I think something like 40%. So even the theme park is doing well, which is something we certainly didn't count on. We're very financially disciplined. If it's the right thing to sell something, it's something you have to consider. At the same time, the core business are the cable channels, so we're not really looking at any of those that I can see. There's always an exception, but we're very pleased with the whole totality of NBC Universal. It is a great ecosystem. When you make a movie, the ride can be in a theme park. You can have cable channels, put it on demand. And I think we can innovate using all that content here and use it to expand internationally, which is something Comcast has never had any international opportunities before. So I think it is a really well-positioned group of assets in NBC Universal, and we're very delighted where we start.
Brian, Comcast is a real focus on sports. You own the Flyers, you own the 76ers. Of course, Comcast Sportsnet broadcasts my world champion Giants and, quite painfully, my Warriors. Are you guys going to take on ESPN? You've got the right assets.
We have no ambitions to do it. ESPN's fantastic, and they're 25 years or more of great success. Sports, we do have Golf Channel, as you mentioned, and the Versus has a relationship with many sporting events. So we're going to be disciplined. We have a lot of opportunities at NBC Universal, but anything we do has to be focused on building value, and at the same time, I don't think we're rushing in to do something that doesn't make a lot of economic sense. Sports is a big part of the success with retransmission fees and other companies, and our Comcast sports strategy has mostly been local and regional. So you're right about San Francisco, where we are now, with a long-term relationship with a number of the teams. We're thrilled by that.
NBC lost $223 million on the Olympics in 2010. How much is too much to lose, and do you plan on bidding for the Olympics in 2014 and 2016?
It's been 4 weeks, and these are the conversations that we now have to really dig into. We certainly are interested in remaining involved with the Olympics, but we need to know that it makes economic sense for everybody, and it's too early. Just as flat out too early to be able to answer that question.
What's your favorite TV show on NBC?
My favorite, The Office is great.
That's a good one.
And I'll say 30 Rock just to say it. But
right.
We're very pleased with where we are, and there's a lot of great shows.
Okay, thank you so much, Brian Roberts, Chairman and CEO of Comcast. Great to have you here.